Hello, good friends, and welcome to a tradition unlike any other. I am not Jim Nance, and this is the Masters on Across the Line. On episode 4 of Across the Line, we will have a Master Snake Draft, which will be very exciting and a little bit competitive, of course. We will preview the tournament, and this is going to be a fun one for those who love the Masters, to learn a little bit more about the field, and of course, for you degenerate gamblers out there that love to throw around money during this time of year. And we can all agree that the Masters tournament is one of the best sporting events out there. If you're not a golf fan, you still love to watch this tournament. Everyone's blood pressure goes down when they look at Augusta National and the beauty that it all is, and it all encompasses everything that's there. The tradition, as Jim Nance always says, is unlike any other, and it's just exciting this time of year. The leaves, the spring is in season. Everything's becoming, the weather's better. Everything's better. And Mason, what do we got this year with the Masters preview? It's been interesting with all of the live stuff that's gone on, all of the crazy changes on the PGA and live. But now the Masters committee and everyone knows that we all have the best players to watch in one tournament, which is unique because we don't even see that all the time on the US Open and PGA championships. You got to qualify to even get in those for the DeChambeaus and the Kepkas of the world. So what do we got this year, Mace?
Yeah, and I love the intro. First of all, the Jim Nance touch was cool, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the Masters is the pinnacle of golf. It's the Wimbledon of golf. It's the Super Bowl of golf, and it's just really exciting, at least as a golf fan personally, to see the Masters commercials roll around and in middle of February, and just as a golf fan, it's super exciting to me. And as somebody that's been fortunate enough to play Augusta, Thompson, I know you have as well, and it's the best, tournament of the year. It's the pinnacle. And just as you said, Wild Bull, it's going to be really fun this year to see a lot of the live guys that are, playing really good golf, but might be, somewhat overshadowed by, the PGA Tour. And it's going to be interesting to watch all of them come together and play a great tournament. So it's going to be great. And I'm just super excited to watch it for sure.
Yeah, I think it gets hyped up even more now with the split of the PGA and Live. Like it it is so separated. And now the Masters was always exciting, but now there's almost an extra effect of like, oh, now we finally get to see Rahm come back. We get to see Brooks and Bryson come back, and those guys always get up for those major tournaments. Brooks, especially, even when he was on tour, admitted that he didn't really care about the regular events and he only really cared about the majors. But just to get into the course a little bit, like Mason said, we've been able to play it, which is really, really cool experience. But we always played kind of in the winter time, so we got some poor weather. Greens were a little bit slower. You can't hit the ball as far down those fairways, so it plays a little bit different, but you get the same effect. And just from a standpoint of what works, it's not too demanding off the tee, other than there are some tough tee balls, but for the most part, fairways are pretty wide. It'll favor guys that can hit it far. And then you got to be super accurate into the green. I mean, Mason can attest to this too. If you get even 15 feet into the wrong spot on some of those greens, you can be completely screwed. Like there were some putts out there where, again, they were running like 9 or 10 for us, probably. Would you
Yeah,
say?
around 10. Around
Yeah,
10.
and if you get above the hole, like I'm aiming sideways, barely tapping and try to get this to break in. And I'm thinking during the tournament when these things are running 13, 14, like I don't even know what I would do with this putt. I don't know if you had some of the same experience knowing when you played out there.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting. As you said, we do play in early January, or at least we did when we were at UT. And there's some respects in that the course actually plays harder when we play it, but then there's obviously a lot that make it play a lot more difficult when it's during Masters time. Obviously, it's in peak condition during the Masters. Not a blade of grass is out of place. The fairways are running out a lot more. The greens are firmer, they're faster. It's tougher around the greens because you have to be so precise. You have to control your spin and flight so well. Whereas when we play it, you can maybe miss in some spots and kind of get away with it because the greens are a little bit more receptive. It tends to play a little bit softer, a little bit slower. But, as a trade-off to that, you're hitting a lot more club into the greens. I mean, I remember, one day we played it, it was 40 degrees and raining. And I remember having, I think I had hybrid or 3-wood into hole 18, and I had 5-iron into 17. I think the whole day I had, the shortest iron I had in the green was, aside from a couple, hole 3 and a few others, I think I had 8-iron or 7-iron as my shortest iron into like a mid-level par 4, which is nuts. And to play that course, hitting a bunch of 4-irons in the green is a brutal test.
And to
For
compare
4 hours.
that, like if we were to play, let's say you played during the conditions of the Masters, what do you think you would have had into 17 or 18? Just like show the difference.
Probably a 9-iron would be my guess.
Yeah, like
And
low iron
that's a
wedge.
4 club difference.
Yeah,
And not only is the ball not rolling, it's colder. And hitting a 5-iron versus a 9-iron into that green, just from like a receptiveness standpoint, the ball is going to come in so much flatter. I mean, I don't even know if I really got it on top on that tee shot on 17 that one time we played it.
yeah,
Um,
maybe it was
I
into
felt
the
like,
wind.
felt like you were, yeah, it felt like you were almost, you know, on an upslope hitting into that green, which obviously helped a little bit, but I'd much rather be hitting 9-iron than 5-iron at 195 yards into that green.
Yeah,
So it plays vastly different than the times that we play it. But it still gives somewhat of a good idea as to what the players see during the Masters. And I mean, obviously you have to be on your game. I think Spieth had the tournament record, and I don't know exactly what he shot. I think it was around 20 under par.
yeah,
But generally the winning score is in between 8 and 13 under par, which is not super low, considering a lot of these guys on certain tour events go in the mid 20s under par. So, like you said, fairways are somewhat generous off the tee. You can kind of miss a little bit more so than into the green. But if you miss in certain spots, around those greens, like on hole 5, for example, or you miss left on 13, you miss right on 11, and that's the bailout in some spots. Like 11 right is the clear bailout, left is water. But now you're faced with this brutal, delicate chip, and it's running 13 straight down to the water.
yeah.
And so taking your medicine is super important, I think, too.
Well, yeah, and then some of those chips, especially when the greens are fast, it's literally like a tabletop and they're firm. So if you don't hit a perfect chip, like in a heartbeat, it can roll off into the water. But what I think, like making picks, or if you're gonna bet a little bit, whatever you might do with the tournament, I don't know if y'all agree, but like decent amount of distance off the tee, and then premium on iron wedge play, and then obviously you got to be a solid putter with some touch, and then definitely guys who have a bunch of experience there. Like there is a lot to them having played there a bunch, having had success there, and even like old school caddies who have been around the place, like a Bones, for example, like knows that place like the back of his hand, and it might not seem like a big difference. Like these guys can get courses understood very well with a few rounds, but Augusta takes a lot of time to know exactly where you want to put the ball, especially to certain pin locations. So I think that's what we're going to be looking for in the draft. But Noam, do you want to give a quick favorite memory? What
I
do you?
will. A couple favorite memories for sure. And I just wanted to hit on one of the points you made as far as the course knowledge. And I think you're right. I think Matt, I think Augusta National is super unique in that course knowledge is like vital. And an example of that would be, you play the first 11 holes, you're in the midst of Amen Corner, you get on hole 12 green, and that green always is like slower than the other greens. I think it's partially due to the fact they don't have as good of growing conditions because the trees, block the green from getting, sun, so they can't cut it as aggressively. So you get on that green, it might run a foot slower. And it's like those little things that with time, guys that are experienced at the Masters tend to play quite well, even if they are older. I mean, Phil Mickelson last year got second in the tournament,
Wild.
and I think he would, obviously he played extremely well, but I think a lot of that is, the fact that he knows, I mean, seemingly every putt on that course, and he knows where to play it and where to miss, where not to miss. But as far as favorite memory, and it involves you, Thompson, we played a little friendly game when we were there. I believe it was our sophomore year. And it was on hole 17 when it was really cold and rainy and wet. And I think I had 186 yards, if I remember. I was on the left side of the fairway, and I hit one of the shots of my life, like a high draw around the trees. Pin was middle back left, and it went to like a foot, and I tapped it in for birdie. And I remember you were walking off 18T, and you were kind of chirping at me that I stole your skin because you'd previously birdied it, and you were positive that you were going to get that skin. But
100%.
Fortunately for you, I happened to hit the shot of my life on that hole about 10 minutes after you did. So that's my favorite Augusta memory.
It's so brutal because there's only what, like 8 of us probably that were playing and like in the skins game, and I'm like, oh, 100% like birdie here. If it was on one of the par fives or something, maybe not, but I thought I had it for sure. And then you beat me by 1 too to get the like the winner pool for the
Yeah.
day too. I shot 1 over in like brutal conditions. I was like, I really
Yeah.
thought I had a chance. So that one's definitely up there. For me, I got a pretty good Cole Hammer got me a good video on number 12. I think it was like a 158 shot a little into the wind. Again, probably kind of cold. I hit a little hold off 8-iron and it landed like right next to the pin. Scared it almost, obviously like the best hole in one of my life, and tapped in for bird. And Cole and Pearson were in my group and we all birdied it. So that was pretty cool. And then just like in general, the caddy experiences there were kind of cool too, because we got local caddies from Augusta, and you always got some characters, some better than others. But those were some of the best memories of my life at school. Like getting to go on a trip like that with your buddies was, I mean, insane. We got so lucky to do that kind of stuff.
Super cool. And I have a couple other questions to wrap this part of the podcast up. But what's your favorite shot at Augusta? And what's your favorite hole? And if you were to be a spectator, where do you think you would put your chair early in the morning and leave it before you walk around?
Favorite shot, my immediate response goes to guys going for it on 15 with a good tee shot down the hill with like a long iron in. I mean, that the shot is so intimidating in person, like way down the hill with the water short, not a lot of depth in the green. You can go over, but like there's just like clips of Sergio and Tiger hitting it close.
I was just going to say that can make or break the tournament for you right there.
Oh, yeah.
Coming down the stretch. Yeah, those par fives are sweet. So that's the immediate one I go to. I think my favorite hole might be 13. Like nothing beats that sweet tee shot that you got to turn around the corner and then going into it too. And then it's cliche, but amen corner is so sweet to sit at. Like you can see the guys coming into 11, see them hit on 12, and then even kind of their tee ball on 13. Probably either that or sitting up on 18, because you can kind of like up near that clubhouse when you're on property, you can see like everything with the wide open trees and fairways and stuff. So yeah, if you're fortunate enough to go, that would be my couple places to sit and try to catch a glimpse of some stuff.
It's very cool. If I were to answer that myself, I would say I think 12 at Augusta is my favorite hole on the planet. I just think I think it's the best hole ever created, in my opinion. I just think it's beautiful. It's like a perfect kind of mid to short iron. The wind swirls. It's a small green. You got to hit a great shot. Very pin dependent on how aggressive you can get. I just think it's the perfect combination of strategy, execution needed, and I agree. I think Amen Corner and behind 18 are the best spots to leave your chair and to watch some golf. And I've also heard that the area where people sit on the big seating area on the top corner on hole 15 is also a good spot too, because you can watch 15 and then you can turn around and watch tee shots on 16, watch tee shots on 17, I believe. And you can kind of like turn around. You have like 360 degrees of golf if you're in in that area. So that's just the coolest tournament in the planet for sure.
Yeah, it's sweet. Ro, you got any additional thoughts on the Masters, and then maybe we can get into this draft that I'm pumped for?
Yeah. I mean, every single hole at Augusta is just a masterpiece. It's kind of hard to pick a favorite per se. I mean, honestly, like I love 18 because it's doesn't have some of the water features. It doesn't have some of the features that some of the holes just from an aesthetic standpoint. But that's where the most memories happen at Augusta is the final hole at 18 with everyone surrounded around the green and just having to shape your shot. And I remember, if I recall correctly, when Bubba just, didn't he pull hook his shot and then he had to do the crazy hook shot out of the trees to finish the round. And It's
Yeah, I
just
think that was on 10
It was on 10 in the playoff, I think.
10
yeah,
in the playoff.
yeah.
But regardless, it's like such a simple. It's not a simple hole. I mean, that green is so severe,
Mhm.
but just the dog leg right. I love 18, and as I said earlier in the show, and as we all said, it's just there's nothing like it. There's no sporting event like it out there, and it kind of just watches it, makes you feel good. So let's get right into the draft. I'm going to put my horns on for this one. So we are doing a snake draft, even though I'm not a huge snake fan, but snake drafts are always fun. This is going to be good. And if y'all recall from last year, John Rahm, the man who signed a ginormous contract this year to play over at Live, is defending the title this year. He's healthy. He's doing well. And I like how we were saying, like, Mason, that you said when you're picking players for this tournament, there's certain players that play well at the Masters, others that don't. And obviously, if you're hot, so if you're Jordan Spieth in his prime, if you're Tiger Woods in his prime, and now if you're honestly Scotty Scheffler in his prime, they're kind of the obvious picks in those decades of time, or Phil Mickelson. But there are people that come about in the Masters that you don't expect. What do you think is a name that I'm going to throw out there that won a while ago, older guy, that I'm going to ask y'all that he won a Masters and he was in a playoff for a Masters, just kind of random.
I wanted to say Danny Willett at first, but I don't think he won in a playoff.
He won outright, so it's not him.
That was my
An
first.
older guy.
Louis got close, but never did it. I don't know. I'm stumped.
You have to factor in like the last
Adam
two.
Scott? No. Adam Scott? No.
More recently?
Angel Cabrera. Guy is a machine at the Masters. He
Yes.
won back in the day. If I recall, it was like what, 09? Yeah. 09 won in a playoff. And then I'm pretty sure in 2013, he was in that playoff with Adam Scott, rain coming down on their heads. Yeah. So, like, you wouldn't have expected Angel Cabrera. To Will Thompson's point, you wouldn't have expected Danny Willett. But sometimes this happens. Bubba had that streak because he just can shape shots like no other and kind of took advantage of the golf course. So, Mason, Will, let's get into the details of the snake draft. Explain it to our straight shooters.
All right, so this will be the simple portion, but the way we did it, we basically just did a random number generator. I had number 1, Mason had 2, Roe had 3. 2 came up first, 3 came up second, 1 came up last. Brutal. He's going to get freaking Scotty right off the jump. But since I get the last pick in round 1, I'll start round 2. Roe will always be second, and then Mason will have the last pick in round 2, and then the first in round 3. So it'll kind of literally like a snake football fantasy draft, So
How many total rounds for our viewers?
5 total rounds. So we're each going to have 5 players. I think that's a pretty good balance there. And then the point system's a little bit more complicated, but Mason had a good system for that. So he can go into that.
Yeah, so we developed, we had to use our Microsoft Excel skills to develop a point breakdown. And we were thinking of different ways to do it. We were going to do it, top 5 gets this many points, top 10 gets this many points. And we wanted something that was a little bit more specific to how that player actually finished in the tournament. Like second is obviously better than fifth. So we decided to do it based on a percentage of that player's winnings to the purse. So in other words, the winner makes $3.24 million. The total purse is $18 million, but the way the math worked out, it's a little bit over 17 million. That's not important to the listener. But essentially, when you take the total purse and you multiply it by the total points for the Masters draft, which in our case, the total amount of points is 1,000, the winner would get 18.82% of the available points, or 188 points. So it's a little bit complicated. We're going to post it on social to somewhat clarify how we're going to do this. But each place has a specific point breakdown, And then there's also, to add another element into it, we have 3 bonus point opportunities. And if your player, one of the 5 players that we have, is the round 1 leader, you get a 10-point bonus. If you get the low AM on your team, you get a 10-point bonus. And the other one, Thompson, can you remind me what the other one was?
Picking the
Winning score.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you pick the winning score, which we'll do at the end of the draft, then you also get 10 points. So essentially, there's 1,030 points available, and winner take all. So it'll be really fun, and I'm looking forward to getting into the draft here.
All right, should we just
All right. Let's start it off.
Let's do it. All right.
climactic? The first pick.
Yeah, this one's so luckily I have the first pick for me. I think this one's a little bit of a clear choice. I'm gonna go with Mr. Scotty Scheffler. I think it's such a clear choice. He's made $11 million this year in 7 starts. He's won twice, 6 top tens, coming off 2 straight wins at the Players in Bay Hill. I mean, I don't really know if I need to say more. It seems like he's maintained the crazy ball striking, gaining just crazy amounts per round. Off the tee and into the greens, and it seems like he's really figured out his putting. I mean, he's first in strokes gained total. He's first in off the tees, averaging almost a stroke on the field off the tees, averaging 1.26 strokes into the green. And, this is unheard of stuff. And, he won the Masters a couple years ago. So my first pick will for sure be Scotty Scheffler.
That's brutal. And there's that quick putting change that he made. Like Rory kind of said it on the broadcast one day, like, oh, maybe he should just try a mallet. And then he tries a mallet and goes and dusts Arnold Palmer. Like that final round was absurd. And then injured at the Players. Final round, like I watched holes 9 through 14 of him, and he literally, like if you were to drop a ball in the perfect spot, he hit it there every single. It's actually insane.
It's crazy. And I think for him, historically, he'd been a good putter. In college, he was a good putter, and he had so much success as a junior golfer. The good putting ability is in there. And, statistically last year, he didn't have a great year putting. And obviously, he still had an unbelievable year, and it was because he, had a historic ball striking year. But sometimes you just need like a change in visual for somebody like him. Like maybe he needed to get away from the blade for a while and go to more of a mallet like putter, and obviously that really has worked for him so far. So I think he's going to continue this crazy streak, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a second green jacket. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean he won in 2022. He's been playing. He's been the new Jordan Spieth of when Jordan Spieth was playing in his prime, and I wore my burnt orange, hoping that I would be able to draft Scotty Scheffler, but random number generator.
Brutal.
Okay, my pick now. Drum roll, please. Brian Harmon. Why do I pick Brian Harmon? Why? Because it's very simple, folks. In the ingredients for a Masters winner from Savannah, Georgia, was a Georgia Bulldog. Augusta is in Georgia. 3, he plays incredibly slow. He will get into the minds of the fans and everyone around him. Mind games, everybody. Have to have strength, mental strength in the Masters. 4, he's really good. I mean, he's been playing very good golf. He just finished second against Scotty Scheffler in the Players this year. He won the British Open last year. And lefties do well. The course sets up nicely for lefties at the Masters who can strike the ball well. Phil Mickelson, Bubba Watson, not a lot of lefties on the tour, but the lefties who are good golfers play well at the Masters. Brian.
Wow.
I'm shocked with that pick, and I can't believe I'm left with 2 in a row. I'm taking Rahm off the bat. If he was still on the PGA Tour, he'd be competing with Scotty as the best player in the world with the world golf rankings. Defending champ. Every aspect of his game is great. Like I don't really have to say much more about Rahm. This one's tough for me. There's some picks that I want to go with in my heart, and then there's some more that go with my brain. And I know that if I leave a couple guys off the board, they might not be there for me. Oh my God, am I about to go back to back live?
Wow.
Give me Brooks. Brooks is so good in majors. He always shows up. I thought he was washed when he went to live, and then when he came back, almost won the Masters last year. Won at the PGA. He's a dog in majors and great iron player. He can make some putts when he needs to. That was a tough one for me, but I was eyeing him. I'll take Koepka.
Wow.
You don't
Well,
like that?
I mean, I like the pick. I mean, Mason, do you like that pick?
I think it's a good pick. I mean, he was leading it for a majority of the tournament last year. I think the whole idea, and I was going to bring this up earlier, but the whole idea of you have to draw the ball at Augusta to win is, a bunch of BS. And I think that's gotten, disproven over the years. You've had a lot of, John Rahm won last year. You had Dustin win. I mean, you don't have to draw the ball into, off the tee on that many holes. Obviously, 13 calls for a draw, 14 calls for a draw. There's
10.
some holes that do, but there's a lot of holes that a fade is favored. 18,
Yeah.
1. So I think the whole draw thing is a bunch of BS. So I don't think Brooks Koepka is ever a bad pick, but I especially don't think it now.
Okay.
It's tempting. You picked Brooksy. It's tempting to pick Bryson. It really is. Just for the sake. Just why not? Why not? After Brooks gets interviewed, I hate that guy. But I'm not picking Bryson DeChambeau. I'm picking the guy that we've been waiting for years. We've been waiting. And I was talking about speed. I was talking about Scheffler. I was talking about Woods. And I forgot to mention Rory.
Oh.
Rory.
Hey, I'm in y'all's head now, boys. Brian Harman 1, Rory 2nd. Who am I going to pick 3rd? Minwoo Lee? You just don't know, man.
It's a great pick. I mean, it's the one that he wants the most. That could play to his advantage. That might play against him. I don't know, but we'll see. I think going to my next pick, second round, I'm going to go with the guy who's been extremely good this year. I'm going to go with Xander Schauffele. 6 top 10s this year in 8 events, made nearly $5 million. 7 top 25s in 8 events. Seems like he's got the whole package right now. And he's a guy that hasn't gotten it done. I know he hasn't won. I know he's been close a lot of times. He got 5th this last week. He almost won the Players. Scotty ended up reeling him in. But he's just a guy who is always knocking on the door. And it just seems like going into the Masters, historically, a lot of people that, aren't winning a lot, but are always, around the top 10, they're always in contention, seem to win. I remember that with Patrick Reed a few years ago when he won. It seemed like he was knocking on the door every tournament, but he wasn't getting it done. And then, he finally got it done at the Masters. And so that's my next pick. I'm going to go with Xander Schauffele. And then I get another pick thanks to this snake draft. But I'm going to go with a live guy here. I'm going to go with Joaquin Niemann, who's been really tearing it up on the live. Has already won this year on live. And
not getting any favors from the World Golf Rankings.
It's true. They invited him, which good on them. He deserves it.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot of talk that, it's difficult to really judge, how well Joaquin is playing to what Scotty is doing right now. Obviously, what Scotty is doing is unprecedented, but Joaquin's playing incredibly well too. And there's a lot of talk that Joaquin might be one of the hottest players, if not the hottest player in the world right now. So I'm going to go with him. And, I don't know how he's exactly done in the Masters the past few years. But I think he's somewhat of a somebody that not a lot of people are expecting, being overshadowed by Rory and John Rahm and Scotty. But I'm going to go with Joaquin for my next pick.
Interesting. All right, back to me.
Back to Row.
It's tough here.
It is tough. I want some power. I want some strength. I want a guy that can just bang it around the Masters course and just ball strike everyone to death. Bryson, no, psych. I'm never going to pick Bryson DeChambeau. The only person that's allowed to pick Bryson DeChambeau is Paige Spiranak, one of our top contributors on this podcast. It is the other guy, DJ Dustin Johnson. I want a lit guy on my team. I want to spread it out. I want a guy that, just if Dustin Johnson is striking the ball well in a tournament, it's hard for anyone to compete with him. He won in 2020. He is an absolute machine. So putting, he's been on and off. He's not the best putter, in my opinion, but I got Dustin Johnson.
Dude, I am gonna be stumped here. This is where it gets tough. Like a lot of the obvious names are off the board, and now it's a little bit of feel. It's like, are you going with a guy who's been hot? Do you go with a guy with some experience? Oh, this might be a shocker. All right, I think I got okay. I'm going Willie Z. He came off an injury. He's played well in the Masters before. He gave it a run when he was healthy. The putter's shaky, still shaky, but he's got a little bit of a different theory now. But he doesn't miss a shot ball striking wise, and his iron play is so good out there. So that's gonna be my pick there. Liking my team so far.
I'm surprised you didn't pick Tiger, but
I wish.
I thought he's playing technically. He's on the list.
In the
He's
field.
in the field. I just don't know if he'll finish 4 rounds.
That's the question.
That's not even a shot at him. It's just it's tough.
Mason, I think you know the obvious choice now.
Oh, it's me
Is it
still.
me?
No,
Go
it's
ahead. Oh, it's back to me.
It's
No, it's
Thompson.
me still. I get 2 in a row now.
I don't ever get 2 picks. It's like the worst.
You're in the middle.
The middle is like the worst. It's like the middle child, It's just you don't get the love that the older and the younger kid get. Gosh.
He's saying obvious pick here. I don't see it.
No, I don't know.
I don't think I'm gonna pick the guy that you want. Yeah, I'm going with Wyndham Clark. I'm going with Wyndham Clark. Dude,
Okay.
he's been playing so well, and it's like you thought it was fluky, but he wins a elevated event, and then he backs it up with a US Open, and then he takes Scotty down the stretch. If it weren't for a 360-degree lip out, we could still be watching a playoff at the Players. So I trust him in big moments. Like every aspect of his game is good. He pounds the golf ball, solid iron player, makes a bunch of putts. Give me Wyndham. Even though it's his first time, I know course knowledge is important, but give me Wyndham.
I was hoping, I was eyeing him the whole time, the last few picks, and he's way down on this list that we have in our document that we're currently looking at. And gosh, I was really hoping he was going to last 2 more picks because I was going to snatch him for sure. But that's a bummer. All right, Rose pick, round 4.
Getting just absolutely destroyed with text right now. Excuse me. Pings are coming everywhere. Let me put on Do Not Disturb. I just like this guy. I've heard very good things about him. Really good person from all of what I've heard. Like on the nice guys list for PGA Tours players. Always consistent at the Masters. Kind of a low key pick. Justin Rose. I like him. I just like Justin Rose personally. I don't know him, but personally, and I think the Masters course always fits well for his eye. So Justin Rose.
I like that pick actually.
I like it too. I like that pick a lot. My pick, I'm gonna go with Hideki Matsuyama.
Okay.
Just looking at on PGA Tour right now. And he's coming off 3 really good events. He just won the Genesis, shot 17 under par. just got 12th at the Arnold Palmer and just got 6th at the Players. And it somewhat goes back to my point earlier that I made about Xander Schauffele, that I like players going to Masters that are knocking on the door a lot. And the last 3 events he's done that. He got 13th earlier in the year at the Farmers, so he hasn't missed a cut this year. He's played pretty solid. Didn't seem like he played great at the 18T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, but I'm going to look past that. I think Hideki has a really good shot this week.
Had to come off the board at some point.
Had to. And then I guess I get another pick here. And this one I kind of want to. There's 2 directions I could go. I'm thinking I'm either going to go with Patrick Reed.
Whoa, you're giving people options here.
I know. I'm thinking here. I'm either going to go Patrick Reed or I really want to go with Ludwig. I don't know.
Ludwig too.
I don't know. Thank you
Ludwig or Ludwig?
Either. I don't know how to pronounce.
I don't know.
Or last name.
I know it's Oberg.
Oberg.
Bear.
Yeah.
Bear.
It's like the A with the O at the top of it. I don't know which one I really want. I don't really know how Patrick's been playing. I'm going to go with Ludwig in this case. I'm going to take a chance on him. I know, the course knowledge is super important. I don't know how much he's been able to play it in the past. I assume not a ton because it's going to be his first time at the Masters. But give me Ludwig for my last pick.
Where is Ludwig from? Somewhere in Europe?
Denmark?
I believe he's from Sweden.
Sweden?
He's Swedish. Yeah, he's from Sweden.
So there's been no Swedes to ever win, correct?
I don't believe so.
All right. So the first Swede to ever win the Masters. I mean, I guess the United States players really dominated the Masters for all those years. And then up until recently, way back in the day, you had Seve and some of those guys. But, all right. So it's me again?
It is.
Yeah. Well,
last pick.
Wait, last pick?
This is the last pick.
Yeah.
Your last pick.
Are you kidding me? I thought I had 2 more.
No, it's tough.
We were going to get assigned a low am too, so don't forget that.
Now I have to rethink everything. I was really thought we had 2 more, but it just time flies by. Oh man. Okay. I'm going to do like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I'm going to phone a friend, but I'm just going to ask y'all to, even though y'all are my competition. So I'll take what y'all tell me with a grain of salt. This is for the viewers too. Do I double down on lefties with really good calves and take Phil Mickelson? Or do I take the other man in burnt orange, Jordan Spieth, who's been playing better, and I always want to see Spieth get that Masters win again. So he's done it once. I'd like to see him do it again.
I'd say both are like you're either hoping for a home run, like they're either going to contend to win or like they might miss the cut. I would personally go with who you want to root for more to make it more fun. Because I think Spieth is a better pick.
Yeah. Phil can work out as much as he wants to and drink all of his coffee.
He did come in second last year, though.
They said the coffee has changed his health, which is interesting. That I like to try his coffee brand. What's it called? You all know?
I was looking at it literally 30 minutes before I got on this podcast. I didn't even know he had one. I saw it. I forgot what it's called, but it's really interesting.
Yeah, I've looked at it. They have all the nootropics and all the fancy stuff to help with your mind, body, and soul. So I'm not going to double down on lefties. I already have got Harman on deck. He's plenty. So Jordan Spieth, keep it Longhorns. Keep it with the Longhorns.
Good.
That's correct with him. Wow, last pick. There's still some names on this board, like Cam Smith. Can he regenerate a little Augusta magic with the putter? Victor Hovland, but he hasn't been playing well. Ryan Fox is a great option.
Who is Ryan Fox?
I couldn't tell you, but good for him for making this event. That is
what? Wait a minute. Okay.
shoot. Dude, I don't know.
Sahith's still on there. You
He
got
is.
Homa.
I know Homa, but like Homa is such a bad major record. But I love Homa. Like if I'm going with who I want to root for, I got Rom, I got Brooks, I got Zalator. I like my team. Okay, this is gonna be a weird one and probably a shocker, but he stayed with me for the Monroe Invitational back in the day. He has some good history at the Masters. I'm like, he's almost like I think he's a made cut lock at least. Really good iron player. Give me Corey Connors, the Canadian. So it's a wild one, but if you look at like he's very, very underrated. If you look at his he competed at Oak Hill in the PGA, he gets some good rounds going. So I really don't know how he's playing, but that's more just picking with my heart, to be honest.
And Mace, before you pick you have the final pick, right, Mason?
No,
I'm out.
We're done. All right. So I just want to conclude with clarifying who is Ryan Fox. So Ryan Fox is from New Zealand. He is 37 years old. He turned pro in 2011. Guess he didn't go to college because on PGAtour.com it has a dash next to college. So he didn't go to college. He's currently 164th in the FedEx Cup rankings. His official world golf ranking is 47. Probably the main reason why he's in the Masters, correct?
Yeah.
So 47. Now, the world golf rankings are all, hogwash at this point with the live stuff, somewhat. So, that's nothing to Ryan Fox. I mean, we love Ryan Fox on Across the Line. But he's played in 39 events total, 25 out of 39 cuts made. That's a pretty good percentage. He's got 8 international wins, so it's kind of funny we don't know who this guy is, who has 8 wins on internationally. And I guess he in 2023, he won the BMW PGA Championship. So that's probably also the main reason why he's in the Masters.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
All right, should we do random number generator to see which of the best AMs we get?
Yes. Do you want to do that or do you want to do winning score first?
Let's save winning score for last.
Okay. Let's do random generator.
All right, so we'll just go in the draft order again. We'll assign Christo will be the number 1 on the number generator. What are the
Stuart
other?
Hagestad.
Stu can be 2 and Santiago's 3.
Yes.
Okay, so that's just who we're getting for low am, and yes. So this is for Mason. Generate 1.
Wait, is it De La Fuente, Hagestad, and who was the third?
Christo Lamprecht.
Christo. So you get Christo Lamprecht.
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 So you get 1, Mason. That's Christo, right? We determined.
Yes, I got Christo.
I think he's.
Why does he get 1 again? This is BS.
He could have gotten Stu.
I want to do what's making you wild, Bull. This is the absolute biggest BS I've ever heard. Mason gets he gets one pick in both drafts. It's absolutely
it was randomly generated.
It's fine. It's fine. I didn't even want your player.
You get 3. So that was Santiago.
I get the last one.
Oh my gosh! It was random. We randomly ordered them and we randomly did the generation. So you get Santiago.
You know that.
And I'm left with Stu.
What do you mean you're left with Stu? I didn't. Oh, you're randomly assigning who we got.
Randomly, because if we pick them, it's just like.
And for the listeners, we did it based on current world amateur golf ranking. So Christo's number 1, Stuart's the middle of the 3, and Santiago's ranked like 34 in the world.
It's fine. I thought we were going to random generation of top 3. We'd pick the 3 amateurs, and then we would have a pick.
No.
All right. I wanted old man Hagestad, but that's fine.
Hey, you can have him, and I'll take Daylight. You want to trade?
I would love to trade.
All right, trade is in the books, and all of the.
So Roe now has Hagestad.
Roe has Hagestad. I'll take Santiago de la Fuente.
Okay, nice. I like it.
It's a toss-up because he's got, De La Fuente is a cool name, but
it is a cool name.
And then to make up for the random number generator being super biased tonight, why don't we do winning low score in the opposite order? So I guess let's have Roe go first, predicting the winning score, and then Tom.
What order do you want to pick the winning score in, Row? Where do you want to be for that? Because this is a little bit of a.
You guys know I'm just giving you. It doesn't matter. I'm just playing. I think what should be fun is we'll do that, and then the last thing is worst score at the Masters.
Like who's coming in last, or what the worst?
When I already have mine, I get in one. Sandy Lyle, my pick.
That's brutal.
Okay, but we'll actually do that seriously.
Okay.
So,
all right. Do you want to start with low score?
Me?
Sure.
I put a number.
Yeah, unless you want to hear ours first. That's what I was saying.
I'll hear y'all's first. That's more fair for me to actually hear what y'all. Then I can.
Yeah.
Going first now screws me. What are y'all doing to me, man?
All right, no, you have to go first again. You have to go first.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
There you go, Will Thompson. That makes more sense.
That's fair. That's a good point. Okay, not knowing what the weather's going to be because it's obviously very important. It's somewhat of a crapshoot because we're doing this a little bit in advance of the Masters. Historically, like I believe I said earlier in the podcast, it's always between 8 and 14 under par usually. Just going off that logic, I'm going to go with 12 under this year is winning the Masters.
Okay, and this seems like, well, we have to get it specifically right. It's not like, oh, who's closer. It's like you have to get it perfect.
Yes, you got to get it right.
Okay, so I'm going to go 11. I was actually going to go 11 the whole time. Like, I feel like that's a pretty decent guess. I kind of wanted to go low, too, just in case somebody tears it up, but I'll go with 11.
12 and 11?
Yeah.
Yep.
10.
10. Okay. We got the 3 covered. I hope nobody just takes it deep on us and we just look.
I know.
But I think those are proper.
So shall we wrap our show up, or are we going to do worst score now?
You want to guess who's coming in last?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to.
All right, you get to pick that. You
Wait,
have
your way.
I don't see Sandy Lyle in the field.
I don't think he.
No, that's not. That can't be right.
I think he might be done.
I think he might. I think he may have said I'm done.
All right,
Too bad.
That's a bummer. That's a bummer.
But okay, Mason, I'll let you go first on this one.
Okay,
No, Thompson, you go first. Mason's gone first.
Yeah, I'm sick. I'm sick of I'm going first. Who's coming in last? This is tough. Give me.
You can pick an amateur too, by the way.
Yeah, it could be an am, but I also feel like it's gonna be one of these old dudes. Give me Jose Maria Olazabal.
Oh, that one. Yeah, dang it.
That's the one I was going to go for.
Oh man. Oh. By the way, is Phil never? That was about to be a very silly question, but it's so funny. I'm looking at all these pictures on the Masters.com website, and like Phil Mickelson's there's only a couple with sunglasses because, as y'all know, only a few players play with sunglasses. But Phil Mickelson's like thick, almost like Ray-Ban looking sunglasses, just stick out like a sore thumb when he's playing. Which, well, he's just a cool guy with big calves. So he's just trying to
stylish
in his older age. I'm looking through this. Yeah, Jose Maria was definitely the choice to go with. There's not that many old guys out in this field. Oh man, you could go VJ Singh, but he's still pretty good in his old age. I don't know. This is too hard. You know what? I'm just gonna go Mike Weir.
Fair pick.
Mike Weir won the Masters, solid player, but he's past his prime. Mike. Wow. I can't go Freddie Couples because I don't know. Freddie Couples can weirdly make the cut at this age.
Yeah, he has like multiple times in recent years. He has some crazy stat on that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's wild. And Bernard Longer, same way.
There's no way Longer's playing, is he?
He is.
Well, he's like
good. I would
140, so he's not even really.
Yeah.
And I guess that leaves me. I mean, obviously, every one of these players is top of the top in golf, but
get the hell out of here.
but
For the top.
I'm gonna have to go with an amateur. We were talking about him before the show. Don't know much about him. I'm sure he's really good, but I'm gonna go with Jasper Stubbs. I think.
Oh man, I thought you were gonna do Ryan Fox.
Oh, could have done Fox too, but I'm gonna stick with Jasper Stubbs, amateur out of Australia. Maybe he'll play great. I hope he does. But
Rooting for him.
You just picked him to become last. You don't want him to play great.
I'm not going to root against somebody who's in the Masters. I want him to enjoy his experience and hopefully shoot a bunch of numbers that start with a 6 in front of it. But if he does get last, it would help my cause too because I get some bonus points.
Okay.
So.
You're preying on his downfall to get those 10 bonus points.
Thompson and I, if Jasper Stubbs makes the cut and or like finishes really high, the entire world will know. Yeah, they'll know because that's just how it works on this show. All right, folks. Well, that was a lot of fun. We shall see where this all ends up. But as always, this is a culture and instructional show. So as always, if you're any straight shooter on the planet and you want to watch and listen to the contents of the Across the Line show, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, and Instagram at Across the Line Golf. Thank you to all of our straight shooters for tuning in today. You are one step closer to banging home birdies and getting across the line. Thank you to everyone. Gents, always a pleasure.